Right, so we will continue and instate the standing orders and commence with our first agenda item, which is 2022-3-102, and that's apologies for absence, please.
I have received apologies with reasons given and accepted these from councillors Safir Hussain, Peter Howden, Rachel Flood and Steve Lewis.
Thank you very much. Item 2022-3-103 is declarations of interest. To receive any declarations of interest in accordance with the requirements of the Localism Act 2011 and to consider any requests for dispensations in respect of pecuniary or non-pecuniary interest in agenda items. Do we have any declarations of interest that members would like to make before we proceed?
I have given dispensations to all the relevant members regarding setting the precept.
Any others? If we get to an agenda item and you realise that there is an interest to declare, please do so at that particular point. Item 2022-3-104 is the minutes, and it's to resolve to approve as a correct record the notes of the meeting of the council held on the 21st of November 2022 and to authorise the chair to sign the official minutes. Do we have a proposer? Rick? A seconder? Mark? All those in favour? Approved. Okay, I just need a minute to sign these off. It's cold. Better go. I think they're getting worse as I do, but not that. Done? Sorry about that, folks. Right. Okay, so moving on to 2022-3-105, and that's the clerk's report, and A is to receive a report from the clerk.
Okay, so as from the next agenda, the chair reports will not be published with the agenda, but will be available as a supporting document on our website. This change is a result of my Silka training and is to ensure best practice at all times. To ensure best practice, we will be publishing the draft minutes within 7 days of a meeting. I have to bring to everyone's attention the attendance of councillors to meetings. In line with best practice, we will be publishing attendance records on our website. I have delegated powers to accept apologies and reasons given. However, as our meeting dates are published annually in advance, reasons for non-attendance should be valid, as members should make reasonable adjustments to be able to attend. I have been advised that I can accept apologies but not the reason given. This would then count towards the 6 months of non-attendance. We have received the interim internal audit report. The report highlighted some issues with documentation on our website, which have been dealt with. There was also the recommendation for a cash handling policy, the approval for which is on tonight's agenda. We have received a complaint relating to highways. It was explained that this was not in the remit of the parish council, but was county council. The complainant explained that Norfolk County Council has a liaison officer who deals with parishes. We will be asking county if it's possible for something similar to be set up in Lincolnshire. Following on from the query raised by a member of the public in the last meeting that the digital notice board switches off between 2200 and 700 hours, we have again consulted our legal advisors, LAUC, and have received the same response, that this is acceptable practice. We publish our full council meeting dates annually in October for the following year, and technically this confirms when the meetings will take place. To assist our parishioners, the notice board no longer turns off overnight. This concludes the parish council's response on this matter. Following the question by a member of the public at the last meeting regarding the planning at Tigers Bar, I am still trying to get an answer. I've been asked to just briefly on camera just mention the questions that were raised in the public session. We received congratulations on the work we're doing at the Cemetery Chapel, and been asked to provide more detail going back to 2012-2013 of some monies given to the Cemetery Chapels Trust, which we will look into. And back in previously, businesses were asked to support the chapels. We'll look into this as well. And we had a thank you for providing some historic minutes, but there's been an issue raised regarding some planning application going back to 2014-2015 in Carter's Park, which we will look into. And we also were asked when the next meeting is, which is 16th of January. And the lady from UPP Broadband was here and said that the broadband will be live in Holbeach early in January. That concludes. Just move straight on to vacancies.
Yes, please, Jan.
So vacancies, we have 5 vacancies on Town Ward, 1 on Drove Ward and 1 on Herne, which hopefully will be filled in the next agenda item. Thank you.
Thank you, Jan. So item C is to resolve to agree to co-opt to the council those who have submitted papers. I believe we have papers in from Chaz, and they will be checked out. Super. Chaz, would you like just to say a few words to introduce yourself before we go to the vote?
I was not expecting to speak. I managed to live in the area for about 20 years, down on Sluice Road. Currently working at Backville, so keep it all quite local in the micro labs there. And I'm just kind of hoping I can help out and give something back, I guess.
That's very, very good. Right, okay. So let's take a seat. So we've got a co-option there for Chaz. Do we have a proposer? And a seconder? All those in favour? Chaz, welcome aboard. Do you want to join us and take a seat?
Thank you.
Sorry, could I just ask your surname?
Sorry?
I missed your surname.
Simpson.
S-I-M-P-S-O-N.
There you go.
Brilliant, thank you.
Okay, so Chaz, welcome to the council. As we go through this meeting, you still have a vote. If there's something that you believe in, just raise your hand, you speak through the chair, but you can vote on items as we go through. Okay, so we're moving on to 2022/3/106, which is the Finance Committee. And item 8 is received a report from the chair of that committee, which is Appendix 1, currently in your agenda pack.
Can I remain seated, please?
Of course you can.
Thank you very much. So, the committee met on the 5th of December Normal activities were proposed and agreed to go to the next full council meeting. This year's budgets were reviewed, and as last month, we continue to be cautious on any further spending this year. Next year's budgets, with and without projects, have been reviewed and approved to go to full council. We discussed the purchase of spare parts for the older of the two Kubotas. Current investments were reviewed with the financial advisor on the 15th of December, where Jan and myself will be meeting them. And finally, we have to thank the clerk for producing the new cash handling policy procedure document.
Thank you, Rick.
Well,
Okay, so item B is to resolve to agree to authorise the payments for November 2022 of £20,664.95, and to note the income for November 2022 of £7,811.78. Do we have a proposer for the item? Rick, and a seconder? Thank you. Colin. All those in favour? Okay. That's item B. Item C is to note the bank balances as of the 30th of November 2022 as follows. Account ending in 4844 is £5,760.46. Account ending in 5394 is £37,588.95p. And account ending in 01PC is £183,227.98. Item D is to review the insurance renewal as recommended by the committee. Now, I do believe that the renewal document is absent at the moment. Am I correct? It's not been provided. Okay, so in order to consider it, we obviously can't, as on all manuals. Defer the item. Do we have a proposer and a seconder? Is it? Oh, you've got one. So item D has been referred. E is to resolve to agree the vehicle insurance renewal. Did everyone have a little look through that? Quite straightforward.
Propose it.
Yeah, seconder. All those in favour? Okay, that's agreed. Okay, item F is to resolve to agree the section 137 spend of £38.39 on sweets for the Christmas fair, and the section 137 spend of £1.67 on cleaning products for the War Memorial at Holby St John's. Very straightforward categorising of these spends. Do we have a proposer? Thank you, Rick. Seconder? Isabel? And all those in favour? Okay, items agreed. G is to resolve to agree the cash handling policy as recommended by the Finance Committee. Straightforward document to be adopted. Did everyone have a little read through? No? Did not see it? Tim?
No, didn't see it.
Okay. To a proposer? Isabel, seconder? Rick, all those in favour? Okay, item agreed. Okay, so item H is to suspend standing orders. When we suspend standing orders, it means that we're looking to reverse or change a decision that was made recently, and in order to do that we have to suspend our standing orders to make that decision. Do we have a proposer and a seconder, please, for suspension of standing orders? Okay, I've got Mark and Rick. All those in favour? Okay, so standing orders are suspended, and it's to resolve to agree the recommendation of the committee to purchase of genuine parts for the Kubota. Mark?
We looked at doing a replacement part that's fabricated. One of the companies we went to is no longer in existence. So we're looking to now go back and get a main dealer pass, so to speak, and so it's back on the table due to that fact. So, but I would propose that we just order it as soon as possible. It's been on the agenda for,
Need it sorted?
we need it sorted.
Yeah. Seconder? Tim, all those in favour? Okay, agreed. Let's get that part ordered and get that back on the road. And at this stage, we'll then reinstate standing orders and continue the meeting. Okay, so item I is to resolve to agree the recommendation of the committee, the budget review, in that the council sell the remaining red diesel, and the clerk speak to the troop officer with regards to the cedar in Park Road Cemetery. But I believe that we have had a bit of an update on this item.
Yeah, so the remaining red diesel isn't sufficient enough to sell, that's one thing. And regarding the tree in the cedar in Park Road Cemetery, we are going to pollard it and not fell it. So it's the cheaper of the two options.
Is there any use I can remove the red diesel for free?
Sorry?
Is there any use I can remove the red diesel for free?
We only have 70 litres, so we can use it ourselves.
Thanks for the offer, Tim. No problem. So although we've got the item to agree, as Jan's pointed out, there isn't actually anything to agree as we're going down that particular route. Okay, so now we have a couple of items. So we now need to resolve to agree to exclude the press and the public under the Public Bodies Administration Meetings Act 1960 due to the confidential nature of the business to be transacted for the agenda item 2022/3 107 and 2022/3 108 only. And after these two items have been discussed, the public are able to re-enter the meeting room. So I'll just need a proposer and a seconder for the item.
I'll just explain why.
Yeah, of course you can.
One of the items was deferred from the last meeting, should have been agreed in closed session, so it's on the agenda, but both staff salaries and the Bowls Club lawn maintenance affect the precept. So we can't agree the precept until we've agreed those two items. So.
Thank you for the explanation. So if we just ask you to exit the...
Sorry, we proposed to second it.
Sorry.
All agreed?
Yeah. So, yeah, we'll look after you, bit. So if you just want to pop out into probably the chapel, so I can take you through, and then we'll come and collect you as soon as we've discussed the two items. Okay, so we've dealt with the two items, and we're now moving on to item 2022/3 109, which is the budgets for 2023/4. And item A is to resolve to agree the budget for 2023/4, including projects as recommended by the Finance Committee, and for the Chair to sign the precept. Okay, so there's a lot of information on that spreadsheet. Those that have access apart from have a good look at it. I see some nods and stuff. Yeah, bit scary. This is a bit scary, but been here quite a few times.
That's taken a lot of work.
I was going to say, first of all, thank you for everybody that's put their efforts into looking at the budget. It's always a very taxing time of the year for us to consider what we're doing and where we're going to be going. But of course, when we are budget planning, it's about what we are going to produce and deliver to the public. That is the most important thing. Okay, so open to the floor. Any questions? Yeah. Sophie, sorry, I've got my back, so I was...
So, in finance, we were recommending to do the budget with projects. Obviously, we are mindful about cost of living and increasing it too much, but due to everything going up, the option without projects would still have included an increase compared to last year, which did have projects within it. So, you're looking at increasing it even if you provide nothing extra for the public. And I think we all appreciate that one of our roles is to provide the niceties, because if not, we are just sort of treading water for a year. So it is a larger increase than normal, but obviously these are uncertain times. So
I think it's also based on last year's
tax base,
tax
yeah.
base, isn't it?
We haven't yet
this
received
year.
the tax base for this current year, so we're hoping if the tax base goes up, that will reduce the increases for each individual property.
It's always scary talking about the budget now, because obviously we finalise when those figures come out. So these are figures that have been worked out on the basis of the 2022-23 South Pond Council bills. We have gone through the banding to see what effects it has on households. Does anybody want the figures? Mark?
I don't think, especially sort of like from the press perspective, it would be good to give the banding figures for each of the bands.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so for this current financial year 22-23, if you've got a Band D property, you would be paying South Holland District Council £1,968.21 for your council tax. But out of that, Holbeach Parish Council receives £70.11. If you're on a Band C property, you would be paying SHDC £1,749.52, of which the Parish Council receives £62.26. Band B, you would be paying £1,530.83, which the Parish Council receives £54.53. And if you're in a Band A property, you would be paying £1,314.14p, of which Parish Council receives £46.69. Based on the same tax base, which, as Rick's just explained, should increase, which means it will decrease the amount payable. Including projects, a Band D property would be paying £88.29 or £1.70 a week. A Band C would be paying £78.40 or £1.51 a week. Band B would be paying £68.60 or £1.32 a week. And a Band A property would be paying £58.80 £1.13 a week, and that's a total amount, that's not an increase amount, that's the whole amount.
Sophie, again.
Sorry. So just to compare, without projects, we were looking at Band D property paying £73.23 per year, and with projects it's £88.29. Now, with the calculations and stuff that we produced within PR and IT for a poster to go out to kind of do a breakdown, it's obviously going to increase the precept just by providing everything we need to provide, and we can't really change those amounts much because it's our statutory requirements. But our projects are looking at costing 2.6p for an average property, which we've classed as a Band B, per week. So in terms of thinking about value for money, all of those projects that we're delivering, all events, new equipment for Carter's Park, chapel renovations, a new disabled toilet, CCTV, nature reserve and planting, is all for 2.6p per week per household. So I suppose it's just looking at it in different ways to try and see whether you're delivering value for money. Of course there's going to be a significant increase because everything's gone up in price, but we need to make sure we're delivering value for money. And I think we've achieved that with all the work we put in.
Comments, anybody?
This is still a massive increase effectively for families that are going to be struggling how things are with the current set of circumstances. If you're looking at a situation this year where there could be a massive amount of redundancies, back of our already laying people off, with the major employers around here. The last thing we need to do is be going to any increases. We ought to be looking at this from the perspective of holding projects for a year and putting it out next year, because this year it's going to be completely wrong.
I understand your angle on that, Tim, and you're not the
It's
first.
not my own, I'm just being realistic about it.
Well, it is, it's your opinion you've just given me, so...
You used the word anger, sorry, but it's not anger. I'm just based on...
Alright, your opinion you've just
Yeah.
given me, alright, to be clear.
People are short.
Sorry?
People are very short money this year.
Yes, we understand. And if South Island District Council, who get the biggest chunk of the money, are increasing their precept, it's only natural that precepts have gone up for parish councils, where we try and keep it always as low as possible. It's already been mentioned in this very agenda point that until the tax base comes out, that figure might naturally adjust down. So it always sounds scary.
It should do logically, because
Logically it
should.
should, because of all of the new builds, but it's all right thinking about, but we've got to think about the future. We have to deliver. We are an entity that is here to provide. We can't do it for nothing, and we can't, we're not a charity. So, it's which way do you look at it? That's my view. Anybody else? Mark?
I think it's easy to get to look at the price hike between what it is this year and what it's going to be with projects, because you're looking around percent or 25% increase. But in real terms, the increase between with projects and without it says on there 52.5 grand. So that's what the total project fund that we're putting out potentially for next year will be. And I think it does break it down well in the sense of saying that the increase is, real terms, 18 quid over the course of a 12-month period. The only concern I would have is the fact that if you're looking at the amount that's going to be raised, if every organisation, bear in mind, we only do, what was it, 1,600 quid for a bandy, is it, something like that?
Bandy, no, 1,900.
1,900. So for 1,900 quid, if we only get £70 out of that, if everybody takes a stance of, well, we're only going to put up a bit, we're only going to put up a bit, all of a sudden that goes from 1,900 to quite a significant increase. That's my only concern I would raise. Not that I'm saying that we shouldn't do the projects, but it's just having that, notoriety that our percentage is tiny compared to what they pay per year. If everybody has that same remit of, we're just going to put it up a bit, then in one sense I agree with what Tim says about taking on board the cost of living crisis for a minute.
Yeah.
But
It's very difficult.
just a point.
We share that everywhere we go. We're all doing our bit, but at the end of the day, we're running it's a business, isn't it? Here, it's a tough. We have this tough conversation every year.
We have to give something back to the parishioners as well. And, if we're not doing any projects, what extra are they getting? Not a lot.
Exactly.
It's very hard.
It's very difficult. Any more comments as well?
Personally, I think for just over 2.5p for all of the projects per household, I think it's a no-brainer myself. I mean, yes, I fully get that people are struggling, but they also will want a lot of free activities if they're struggling for money, and we are going to be giving them free activities because we're going to be upgrading the amenities within our areas, and we're also going to be giving them free events, which if we can't do that, then if they haven't got access to free facilities, then they're not going to be able to afford to take their children elsewhere, because if they've got to pay for everything elsewhere, then to me, I think it's important that if we can continue to provide things free to the public, yes, okay, it's not free as such because they're paying that little bit extra per week, but if you do it over a whole year, a little bit extra per week, then that's far better than going out and having to pay 50 quid to take your kids somewhere for a day out.
which is
Right.
the increase really.
Yeah.
You know that it's always a tough call.
I was just going to say, following on from what Isabel said, if we do these projects, it's only a cost of roughly £1.50 per household for the year that we're going to spend on projects. It's not a lot of money, is it?
Mm.
3p a week for 52 weeks.
I mean, at the end of the day, I don't think as a parish council we would be chastised about what we are offering in return for the increase. And especially with the cost of living crisis, things people to look forward to, things to go to. We've got, things in Holbeach are changing. We're seeing a lot of extra activities, which is fabulous for people. And for that small token, and you look at the size of the chunk that South Holland are taking, and we have a lot of issues on our roads, highways, crosses, all those as well, that we are campaigning for, we're getting a money's worth.
I think I would, again, I would just bring it back to the fact that unfortunately we are in a situation where everybody's running costs have increased significantly. And if we don't provide anything additional, the free activities, etc., we are still looking at increasing our costs from last year. And last year included a significant amount of projects. So that just means that, take away the projects from both years, our running costs have gone up significantly. Through no fault really of our own, it's down to inflation, energy prices, fuel, everything. It's impacted everybody, hasn't it? And it impacts the council as well because those costs are going up. So it's kind of a catch-22. There's some things you can't change, and then do you provide those additionals that people want, or do you, keep costs as low as possible? It's a difficult decision.
Tim?
You can't waste that. You suit yourself in the foot of your own argument there. Because what you're saying is that the previous year we had all the projects anyway, there was still only £70 per month for a bandee, or something like that. And now instead of going up, we expect it to, with the same projects, to about £73.23, you're now talking about asking the public to pay £88.29. That's the problem. It's not that we did projects last year on £70, and so why can't we do projects this year on £73 if we correct budget and everything else?
It's our running costs that have gone up to increase that. So, the project spending...
So what you're saying effectively is that what's gone up here is the running cost of the council is what accounts for all of this. So if that's the case, because you're saying that you can run the council on £2 a month from £70 to 73, that will run the council anyway. What you're asking for is to another 15 quid to put in the projects.
Can I just step in there?
So
Tim, when we ask for projects and things to enhance the facilities for our public, we have to take on board that person's extra costs. They don't discount us because we're a council. They don't give us free this and cheap that or whatever. So if we're going to subsidise, and say, as you just put, run the council for less, blah, 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 we're just the same as everybody else. The cost crisis is hitting us. Anything that we deliver, the expertise, for instance, and the slide, for instance, all that costs us the same money. So I'm sorry, but I do agree with Sophie, for the sake of my point of view, is the fact that I wish we could say we could reduce this and we could reduce that and we could do it at that price. But in the big wide world out there, we know that we're in a different game altogether when it comes to the cost of living.
okay, just taking that point, you're talking from £70.11 to £88.29. So therefore you're saying effectively you're looking for a 20% increase. Now, our costs of council haven't gone up 20%. That's the problem. And we're doing events pretty much the same ones we were doing last year, effectively. So what's the public going to get extra over what we did last year?
Okay, well I'll just explain my bit. If that didn't get through, then I'll let somebody else have a go. Please.
I was just going to say that I understand what you're saying, but you've got to remember the utility bills, gas and electricity for Cooper Chambers and the Pavilion and everywhere else has gone up astronomically. Much higher than inflation.
Yeah.
The fuel cost to run the Cabotos, we only had about £500 in the budget. We've already spent that 3 times over, and we're not at the end.
So you talk about an aggregate increase of 20%.
Yeah.
Some items have gone up 40
Easily, yeah, I mean, our gas bill
Fair comment, no problem, that's
is
fine.
huge.
I'm okay with that.
Thank you, Tim. Mark?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, like I said before, when I started off on it, it's very easy to get hooked up in the 25% increase. However, you put an 11% cost of living increase, which everyone is facing at the minute, that puts our appreciate up to 78 quid anyway. So you're only looking for another 10 pattern on top. And just looking just from the open spaces, obviously because we've put the projects in for that, one of the big things that comes up year in year out currently is the fact of having nothing for the youth, the older youth of the town. So one of the big projects for that was a youth area where we're going to more target it at kids from sort of like 11 up to 16, which is a real sort of need for the area. And I think we also need to establish that it's that trade-off being, okay, it might be an extra sort of 18 quid from where it was to where it's looking to go, but how much is that going to benefit the community, but also how much is that going to cost save the community for having to deal with the, you know, potential, and I'm not saying that we will have antisocial behaviour, but if there's nothing for the youth to do, and you know, they've got to do something, they've got to go somewhere, and we want to try and promote that. So, you know, from a selfish point of view, I would want to leave the projects in because I want to see that delivered for the youth, you know. But like I say, the only reason I raised it in relation to the money increase is if everybody does it, then I can see it being a problem.
Yeah, Mark, I think that's a really good point. The projects are an essential part of us as a parish council, and that deliverance of, and that cost has increased, and it's so essential that we do these things. So, great debate with everyone that's a part of the that. So the budget item is to resolve to agree the budget for 2023 for improving projects as recommended by the Finance Committee and for the Chair to sign the precept. And the budget is £307,692.80. Do we have a proposer? Is that what you're doing?
Yes.
A seconder? Thank you, Tim. All those in favour? Okay, thank you. So that's the budget. What after we then?
I just forgot all the budgets will be published on our website after the meeting. Now they're agreed, so the full breakdown is available to everybody. Not right.
So you'll be able to get hold of those for any figures you might have missed tomorrow. Is that all right?
Yeah, because I just wanted to check one figure.
Yeah, go on.
Was it 307 or 367?
307, 692, 80.
307 69280. That's brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, thank you everybody. So item 2022/3 or 110 is the Open Spaces Committee, and to elect interested members onto the committee. Anybody interested in hopping onto Open Spaces? Yay, chance. First appointment. Do we have a proposer and a seconder, please? Tim, all those in favour? That's you co-opted onto Open Spaces. Well done, Chance. And before we move on, is that Open Spaces to capacity, or can anybody else jump on? New capacity? Capacity now? Yeah. Well done. I'm sure they'll welcome you in and get you up to speed on that. Okay, so just a quick note there. We don't have a report on the Open Spaces as a committee, did we? So moving on to item A, is resolved to agree the allotment payment procedure when signing an allotment lease. Okay, there was an item that was shared in it to everybody with regards to procedure, and in there was a recommendation. Did everybody read that? Yeah? Okay, do we have a proposer? A seconder? Rick? All those in favour? Okay, so vote. Okay, item 2022/3, item 111, Planning, Properties, Emergency Planning and Speeding Committee, and to elect any interested members to that committee. Is the first item. Anybody fancy jumping on the longest committee name ever?
I actually have a personal investment in this one.
You do.
Yeah. That young lady that died recently on a motorbike,
Oh,
she was a close personal friend of mine. So I've kind of taken that one personally. So yeah, I would actually have to jump on this one.
Super, Chaz. Okay, do we have a proposer? Isabel, seconder. All those in favour? Okay, so 2 committees just joined us. Well done, Chaz. That's great. Thank you. Okay, so item 8 is to receive the report from the chair of the committee, which is Appendix 2 in the agenda.
All the planning applications were discussed and comments agreed at our last meeting. Following discussions about the application to reduce the affordable housing numbers, for the committee decided to draft a letter raising our concerns with the planning process, which is an agenda item on this meeting later on. Having raised the issues with pedestrian safety in Park Road several months ago and requesting some form of crossing, there are now more concerns being raised by the public, and the committee feels we should revisit this and ask LCC to look again at what can be done. Following more accidents at Saturday Bridge, it was agreed to ask for an update on any proposed improvements, and Holbush Bank Football Club lease will expire in May 2023, and this is a separate agenda item tonight.
Okay. Thank you, Isabel. Okay, so item B is to resolve to agree the planning and the TRO responses. And there's a few here just to read out. There's H09111822, and that's Reserve Matters Phase 3. That's outlining approval for H090521-14. H09085122, and that's an amendment received residential development for one dwelling. H091119-22, erection of 12 commercial units with associated access. And H091134-22, proposed garage and games room. And a TRO, which is the proposed speed limit change at Penny. Do we have a proposer and a second of those responses?
If we do, all of the planning application ones, I would say that there's no objection to those.
Yeah.
And then obviously with the proposed speed limit changes, then we just need to agree that we support them, I would suggest.
Yeah, is that item D?
Yeah, no, that's the TRO, because it's a separate issue.
Okay. Oh, right, okay. Sophie?
I would just like to make an alternative proposal, slightly different.
Yeah.
No objection on all the planning applications apart from the erection of 12 commercial units, which I'd like to say we're in support of, as part of the food enterprise zone, and I think it'd be very beneficial for the town, and in support for the TRO, for the reduction in speed limit.
Yeah,
The 12 industrial units.
Yeah.
The speed limit came up a while ago, and the people have worked quite hard to get that reduced down there, for the cars whizzing past. So we have a support, and for the TRO is to offer our support on that reduction. Proposer, Mark?
Yeah, I will propose it in a minute, but
Okay.
the only thing I would suggest on the TRO is that the bit that's in green is proposed 40. Personally, I would suggest that stays at 30 all the way down to that intersection, but you know, that's the only thing I would suggest. Because if you go in 40, 40 and then 30, you give them that incentive to actually keep that 41 now and go through the 30. So, but that's just a personal, but I will propose it. There we go.
Okay, right. I've got a proposal with an amendment somewhere, I think, in there. Mark's got a valid point about that. Has anybody else got a comment? Because this is the time that we could make that comment if, you know, we could say we support it, providing it stayed at 30, for instance.
Yes, it makes sense. citizens, if they're open to look at it, then we're in support of reduction of the speed limit, so, but we would suggest that it stays at 30.
Yeah.
It's not as if it's a massive stretch of road, that bit.
No, you get to the end. Valid point, though, we've obviously picked up. If we can extend that manner. Okay, so Mark proposed, do we have a second? Sophie, all those in favour? Okay, if we can deal with that, that'd be great. Item C is to receive an update on the cemetery chapel's roof and to resolve to agree the way forward.
Did you see that email?
Yeah, I did. Right, so very briefly, obviously you remember from the last meeting we'd asked for the invoice that we'd sent. We wanted details of what it included, and it arrived today. But also just as an update, they are now at the point of they've got 2 elevations completed. The third one is halfway, which leaves half an elevation and the porches to do and the ridge. So I would have hoped that they would have been done by Christmas, but obviously not. Anyway, the information that was sent out still doesn't really give us enough information, I don't believe, because they've itemised what the invoice is for, so they've got a scaffolding cost, a labour cost, materials cost, skip and the total. However, it doesn't tell us to which date it is going to, so what part of the works it actually covers. So was it to the point that they had to stop working? Is it to September? Is it to October? What are the materials that they're actually charging us for? Doesn't give us enough detail. So personally, I don't think we should pay it until we get those details.
I'm sure it is. Okay, so this was from the last meeting, and it was where a breakdown was asked about an invoice.
Yeah.
So that's the update on what you got.
Yeah.
Is that the way forward bit that we're trying to work out? Or
Yes.
is it,
Yeah. Do we pay up? Do we not? As they are so close to finishing, you know, really, it's an interim payment that they're asking for, but actually they'll soon be paid for the full amount because they are that close to finishing. So quite honestly, by the time we're faffed around, they should have the final invoice in.
Yeah. Mark?
They're not a great deal, don't seem a great deal further on this month than they were last month. Is it the fact that they're just now hanging back and not going to do the work until they get the interim payment? Or is it? No?
I mean, having been through there several times, I think it's more that they've only got one person working on it most of the time.
Okay, that's fine.
Which,
I mean, more importantly, with watertight there, so it's
Yeah,
not
it's
damaging the
watertight.
building,
It
is
is
it?
watertight.
It's just them finishing off
Yeah.
and sort it out. Okay, so we've got the update, and it's to resolve to agree the way forward. Obviously, Rick doesn't want to pay them.
That's all.
Oh, no. The way forward, anybody? Would it be to go back to them and say, at what point is this invoice for? Or do we just, like Isabel said?
I think ultimately they need to provide a bit more information. They need to tell us what the materials are that they are quoting that we pay, because we've already paid for some materials earlier on, so we need to know what are those materials that we're now paying for within that part, because we then don't want to have to be paying for that again later on. We want to know what we're paying for within this budget.
Yeah.
And it's obviously got scaffolding costs, so is it the scaffolding from when they put it up to the point that they had to start working? Don't know. And, you know, at what point is the invoice up to? What date does it go to? Because it could be anyway.
If we make it clear that it's not a stalling process, we just need
We
facts.
just want to know.
So we can legitimately, if it came to an audit, say, this is what that money was for.
Yeah.
Tim?
I'd like to go on record of actually fully agreeing with Isabel on this one.
Do you want to propose?
Yeah, I'll
There you
propose.
go.
So we need to
Second.
read the agenda, do we want to read the
Yeah,
decision
you can.
back? So it's to go back and ask for the date it's up to, more detail, what materials are included, what dates the scaffolding costs are for, and make it clear we're not stalling the
Yeah.
process.
Yeah, so Tim proposed, seconder, Isabel, all those in favour? Okay, so we've got the way forward. Thank you. Okay, D is to resolve to agree to support a provision regarding a speed reduction on the B1166 Shepherdstowe stroke Holbridge Drive. Isabel.
Again, it's an ongoing situation that's never been resolved down there. And yes, I do believe we need to support whatever action that can be had.
Totally agree. The roads are becoming so dangerous now. So do we have a proposal and a seconder? Rick?
Can I just ask which road that is?
Yeah.
It's the road going through Holbridge Drove towards Peterborough.
Shepherdstowe.
And what's,
So it's past, as you go through the Drove, you know, the Peterborough Road, before you get to the bit that's been redressed.
and so what's the speed now and what's it dropping down to? Or proposed?
It varies between 60 and
varies.
50, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It drops to 50.
Yeah.
It's 50 all along that stretch.
And it
Then
goes
the
to
road-
40 for a short stretch
Yeah.
as well. It's going, it's all over the place. And there's a school along there as well. So they're looking to get, obviously, a consistent
Yeah.
speed limit,
So
because people
it's
do speed a lot.
To even it out and make it a bit more
Yeah,
normal.
because I think you come out of the 40 round the bend where the
Yeah.
garage is, and then you've got a 60, and then you go to Shepherdstowe, and it drops to 30 or 40. Because they've got a flashing camera. Then you get to the side, and then it's 50 up to the old train station corner before you come back onto heading towards.
Yeah, another road you're talking about. That.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is all over the place.
The other thing is the condition of that road is terrible. I go the A16 if I'm going to Peterborough. I know it's a long way round, but the road is just subsiding and it's falling away, and I think there's been quite a few people. You know,
You've got
if
more
people
cracks
are,
in the Grand Canyon.
yeah, people are speeding. Well, it's a disaster waiting to happen.
Is there a school between Shepherdstowe and Holbridge Drive?
At Shepherdstowe, there's a
Yeah.
school there.
Yeah, but there's a 43 anyway.
Yeah, but
There's
there's one.
43 Shepherdstowe.
Yeah, but
You know, so to say that there's a school along there
Yeah.
is a misnomer.
Yeah,
What
so-
we're talking about is the speed, it goes 40 miles an hour through Holbridge Drive and then increased to 50.
Yeah,
and
so
then
as
40 miles an hour.
you turn left to that little school, that then drops to 30 off the
Yeah, it
40.
would, yeah.
So, you know, it's...
But I mean, there is no
mismatched.
issue with speed limit around the school. There is no issue with speed limit through the villages. You're talking about the stretch of road between Shepherdstowe and Holbridge Drive. So
Yeah,
why would you need to reduce that?
it's obviously the parishioner is requesting
You know what I'm
speed
saying?
reduction on
What-
the road
I'm saying
for
anyway,
safety.
well, I don't think it's a safety argument anyway, and you have to realise that a lot of people in Holbridge use that way to Peterborough for whatever reason. And I see, unless there's a compelling reason to provide a speed limit through there, which there isn't, you know, if you take the condition of the road further down, going up towards Jekyll's Drive, it's absolutely, well, I fully agree, that part between the two villages is relatively okay. It's not as bad as some. I can't see any justification for reducing the speed of that long road.
I debate that one because I mean I used to drive that.
I drive it all the time, you know,
as
so-
well, so you must get overtaken and you're overtaking. But you know they do speed down there.
I appreciate it's worth the 50 mile an hour speed limit, you know.
I know, but not very few people stick to that, in my experience.
Well, yeah, but that's a different matter. You know, there is a speed limit of 50 miles an hour. If you reduce it to 40, there'll still be the same people speeding through there if you're saying they're speeding anyway. I can't see any reason to support it.
Can I refer you to the document? Did you read the letter? That was in, that everyone had, because
What's the concern of the original?
sorry?
What's the parishioner's concern? What's the justification?
Okay, so the letter came in to the clerk and to us councillors, and they was thanking us for support for the community speed watch in the area of Holbridge Drove, which obviously gives us our connection to it. The responses in a petition on behalf of the residents and the concerned parishioners of Shepherdstowe, Wapload and Holbridge Drove is fully supported at a recent meeting of Wapload Parish Council, and there's a clear demonstration of and a clear understanding of the concerns regarding the wider issues of traffic, speed, poor road craft, and its evidence daily within our extended community of Shepherdstowe, Wacklow and the Holbridge Droves. So they're including all of that into it. This letter is quite in detail. It was
We're
also
talking about the specific stretch you're talking about here. We're talking about a specific stretch of road, but I can see no justification for changing the speed limit right there. It's already 50 on there. It's not 60 national speed limit. It's already 50. It's reducing what a national speed limit. And you have got 40 miles an hour through the villages, and in certain parts of the village, 30 miles an hour. I can't see any justification.
You're absolutely entitled to view it. The statistics in this letter were quite appalling. If you actually read it, you would think, oh, crikey, there is a loophole. Because the road, it's called a straight, isn't it? From, as you come out of Robinson Johnson, as you head down to the trail. Yeah, well I used to, but you can't really go very fast because of the state of the road. But on here, they've recorded, in a 1 hour duration, 39 vehicles were driving over the national the speed limit of that stretch of road. So what they're trying to do is get together and petition to make it to slow that road down.
Yeah, the thing is, if they're already exceeding the speed for that zone anyway, what's the difference in a 40 mile an hour limit going to do?
Okay,
so it's all the speed, they're going to speed, aren't they?
I get your point. They're doing all they can. The speed watch teams are there to try and eradicate problems, accidents, dangerous, all of that.
I appreciate
And-
that, but you can't keep using the safety argument all the time because
No,
it isn't relevant. You've got
okay.
other concerns to be done.
I'm not arguing with you, Tim. The actual agenda point is to support a petition. And as a parish council, that's what we should be considering
I
here.
know.
Not the fact
we can
of what you
debate
think
it.
about the speeding. And if you go slow, that's up to you. You know,
We're here to debate the point.
and that's what I've just done with you.
At the end of the day, you're trying to browbeat me now.
Okay,
The
no.
fact of the matter
You
is,
should have read the letter. That's what I'm saying.
the fact
Mark.
that you, now you're trying to be rude. I'm simply saying that where we have a situation like this, where there's no specific justification,
Okay, so
so
if you
there's
read
no
the letter,
specific
you read-
justification for a speed limit reduction in that line, because there isn't, there's nothing I can see would reduce it, then we're going to go against highways anyway, because highways can say it's 50 miles an hour. I know if we push hard enough, all you do eventually is remove the facility for people to use that road to get round to Peterborough.
Okay, thank you for your comment. Mark.
I think on the back of justification, I think there's been 21 incidents in there since 2018 to 2022. So
Residing in
all manner of
fatalities?
I think there has been a couple of well, at least one fatality. I've not got the details of that,
In any given stretch of road, there'll be fatalities.
but as part of the conversation that came in from the letter that came in, there's been 21 incidences in the last 4 years. There's additional growth development along that stretch of road, which are all drives that come directly onto the stretch of road, which obviously that's nothing to do with us planning of pathways to come onto that stretch
That's
of road.
right, highways.
So in relation to that, I think what the provision is just saying is that they want to push for a 40 mile an hour stretch to go from Holbridge Grove right the way down to the end of Shepherdstowe. So instead of it being 40, 50, 40, 50, 40, it's 40 all the way through from Holbridge Grove right the way through. That's what the recommendation is.
That would apply if it was a river development, the whole thing, but you're talking about new developments, these stretch road, they're within Shepherdstowe itself. They're not along that stretch of road. That's the point.
Just to speed things up, we're supporting a parishioner in their request, which will involve a request to highways and then would be review. So highways will be judging whether there's legitimacy in the request, whether it meets their requirements, and whether it meets the requirements to reduce the speed limit on various stretches. So clearly there have been a number of incidents which has caused concern among the community. As a parish council, I would feel that if the community is saying they've got concerns, we should support them. If that means that highways review it and throw it out because it doesn't meet their requirements, then that's what will happen. But ultimately, we're supporting their request to go forward based on their
The problem I
concerns.
say about so it says to agree to support a parishioner. It doesn't say a group of parishioners, a formal body. You know, it's kind of, you've almost got a situation where somebody's written a letter in and we're then expected to go along with that because a parishioner's written it in. At the end of the day, we have to help people themselves.
But in fairness, Tim, if you'd read the letter, it is from a group, the Speed Watch, who've carried out various studies.
Then why was it made clear in the agenda?
Because a parishioner has made the request, but the letter
On
details
behalf
down and
of?
explains further that it's a group that is making the request. They've also been in contact with their local county councillor, they've been in contact with other parish councils, etc. And they have formed a speedwatch group in that area, and they've conducted studies, and they have got cause for concern for the speeding, and have got various different suggestions.
Okay, just
I'm not against people, it's clear that way. End of the day, but they have to be in the places where they're necessary. Otherwise, when we need speed limits in areas where they are necessary, we might not get them.
Thank you, Tim. I'm going to take Chaz's comment and we'll go to the vote. Thank you, Chaz.
If this is the piece of road I'm thinking of, then I need to echo Mark's comments about fatalities, because I think that is the road where Amy Cooper lost her life about a month ago.
That stretch of road.
Yeah, and I was driving to her funeral this Thursday, just gone, and I was behind a truck, and so it was a truck myself, and then a car overtook me and the truck in a single run, which, I mean, it was an empty road at the time, but that could have been extremely fatal, because she died with someone pulling out and overtaking illegally, and that's what killed her.
I'm sorry for your loss, but I thought that she died north of Parkridge Drive on the stretch leading down.
Yeah, that's what I said. I think if it's the right road, I think it's...
The stretch we're talking about is between Sheppo Stone and Holwich Drive.
Right.
It's not near where she died.
But I mean, ultimately, I think the sentiment remains the same, in which she died to an instance of someone illegally overtaking through speeding. I don't obviously have...
The thing is, it was on a different stretch of road.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, but I mean, I think it carries over, because obviously, you know, that was that exact circumstance which led to her losing her life.
Okay, can I move this on, Mark? Or
Yeah, I was just going to propose that we support it.
yeah, I was just going to go straight to the vote. It's to resolve to agree to support. So do we have a proposer to support? Thank you, Chance. Seconder, Mark. All those in favour of support? Agreed. Thank you for the debate. E is to discuss pedestrian safety in Park Road and to resolve to agree to support parishioners in their initiative as recommended by the committee. The lady was hoping to be here just to talk us through, which I'd have welcomed her to speak, but she's unable to be with us. Do you know a bit more background than I do? Yeah, so thank you.
So prior to this, we did request a survey to be done to look at a pedestrian crossing in Park Road. That was not quite meeting the requirements of highways by a very small margin. Since then, there have been a number of other accidents, near misses, etc. A parishioner and various other members of the public and some parents of the school have raised concerns. They started a petition to try and improve the pedestrian safety. A number of the issues are obviously speeding cars, safe crossings, cars being parked near junctions, so when the kids are walking home from school you can't see to cross the road, and there are a number of near misses. I believe Tracy Carter has outlined a few more initiatives that she's looking into with highways on this issue, but I feel, again, as a parish council, we should be supporting the parishioners in their initiative and do whatever we're able to do.
Yeah, thank you, Sophie. This was something that we brought to the district's table a while ago, and they kind of did the survey, commissioned that. And as Sophie outlined, we speedily missed out on the suggestions there. It's come to our table again because of further concern. I think here, again, safety is paramount, and it is to resolve to agree to support the parishioners. Do we have a proposer on the item? Thank you, Tim. Seconder. Thank you, Chaz. All those in favour? Okay.
Sophie, why don't we have a pedestrian crossing here? It seems a no-brainer, isn't it?
They do a calculation where they are looking at like number of cars going past, pedestrians crossing, etc. Number of accidents, which has obviously increased since then. And they put together a calculation. I believe the document is within our system somewhere that we received back, and it has to meet certain values in order to do either one of those crossings in the middle or a pedestrian crossing, and it missed out narrowly. They do have a margin, but it still missed out.
Wasn't this was not that long ago either?
No.
I'm sure you was on board, Tim, when
Yeah,
when this whole thing, and Tracy was here and she was running all about it.
Sorry, so could that be revisited, or, you know, is it something that once they've said, you miss out?
No, I think I've got
All of the, you
the
know,
point,
criteria.
yeah, the point being is that now the partitioning and the public are speaking,
Yeah.
we did our bit and they will bring it back to the table and then it will come back to us. So it's helping that cog turn that little bit more for the safety of everybody. Of everybody. Thank you. Okay, item F is to resolve to agree to write to South Island District Council regarding development within Holbeach, the section 106 agreements and infrastructure improvements as recommended by the committee, and to publish this letter. Sophie, thank you.
Okay. So this is on the back of the meeting we had with Boston Road South Sinkhole. One of the major concerns that people were bringing up was the new housing and the impact on the infrastructure. And also the number of applications we've been receiving of late to reduce the number of affordable housing. Obviously, affordable housing and other money going to Section 106 for improvements to infrastructure is vitally important if we want to, keep up with our growing town. And the affordable housing especially, because local people need to be able to afford houses in the area. And if a development can't provide for the local area, personally, if it's not viable, I don't think it should be built. I don't think they should be allowed to keep reducing the affordable housing on nearly every development and stating the reasons of financial viability. I've drafted a letter to South Island District Council, which also starts the ball rolling to try and get a bit more transparency around this issue, which I think is the first step to move it forward. It includes questions under the Freedom of Information Act about how much money has been agreed within the 106 agreement so far for all of the developments within the South East Lincolnshire local plan for Holbeach and additional developments that have been agreed since. What percentage of the developments in Holbeach have received approval for reducing their Section 106 contributions, and what total value of approved reductions in Section 106 agreements for developments in Holbeach, and how many affordable housing will not be built as a result of those reductions. How much money has been spent from revenue of Section 106 agreements from developments in Holbeach, and what has money been spent on, and big one, how is infrastructure planned to improve within Holbeach, and what are the timescales for each improvement? Infrastructure not only being in healthcare and education, but also foul and stormwater drainage, roads, telecoms, gas, etc., which often get missed out. So that is the proposal, and the idea is to send that to South Island District Council, hopefully receive a response, but also publish the letter in the press to again start the ball rolling on behalf of the Commissioners of Holbeach to try and get something happening.
Some good work in there. I did comment on the email as it come through. Rick?
I'd just like to propose it.
Yeah, second that. Thank you, Clive. All those in favour? Agreed. Okay, so moving on to 2022, I believe 3112 is the PR and IT committee. Item A is to resolve to agree the recommendation of the committee, the amendments to the community engagement and communication policy to include aspects of Mablethorpe public participation at meetings policy.
So following the last meeting where we amended standing orders, again we've been looking to other councils for best practice. Best practice is that the open forum is prior to the meeting, as members of the public can't actually speak during the meeting when standing orders are instated. We have basically copied Mablethorpe's and Sutton-on-Sea's Town Council's public participation at meetings policy and inserted that into our community engagement and communications policy. I just would like to point out Mablethorpe have received the Gold Quality Award, so they are renowned in the area for being kind of the best practice council in Lincolnshire. So they do have some very good ideas of how to improve the way we work. The idea would be to have the 25-minute open forum, which is more than quite a lot of councils have, before the meeting, so members of the public can ask questions. And then those questions, as we've done today, would be detailed within the clerk's report as per other correspondence received. That would mean it would be formally minuted and then recorded, because unfortunately anything that happens outside of the meeting can't be recorded formally within the minutes. It's only that part of the meeting, so that would enable that to be formally recorded for public viewing. And that's basically the proposal.
Will this form a separate document, effectively, these minutes for these?
No, so where we have the clerk's report within the minutes, it will be inserted into that clerk's report in the appendices for the minutes, so it will be published within the same document as the minutes.
Okay.
And then it's also obviously recorded when Jan says it.
So, as you probably noticed today, when Jan did the clerk's report,
Yeah,
she then wrote the questions out.
Yeah.
It was asked today, so then...
It was included, that's fine.
Okay, do you have a proposer? Isabel, second. Choice of Rick. All those in favour? Okay. Agreed. B is to resolve to agree the spend on leaflets to be inserted into newspapers. Off you go.
So as part of PR and IT, we discussed about producing a leaflet, which we've done, to detail down what is actually included within the project. So kind of the golden nuggets of information that the public would like to hear about, so they know where their money's been spent. The proposal is to reach more parishioners, to place this as an advertisement in a newspaper. We have quotes from both newspapers, for fairness. And I think, you know, for the size of leaflet, we're probably looking at a quarter-page advert. That would be enough to be visible. And it would mean that it would go out to, you know, around 11,000 people rather than just being on our Facebook page. I think it's important people know, you know, what we're spending money on, what the events are for the year, etc. Engages us a bit better with our parishioners.
The papers are a good call, you know, because they also publish a digital copy, and people subscribe as well, so those figures are probably going to be high. Rick?
I was just going to say, as a member of the public who's colourblind, I find it very hard.
That will change the colour,
It comes out fine, what they say, but printed
yeah,
is
printed
rubbish.
is not.
I was going to make the same thing. Can we have a bit of desktop publishing? There's a whole sheet of paper there with not using half the area of it.
I think that's just an example for us tonight.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, this is not...
It's not even our logo on it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a case of this will need obviously doing properly, and to properly get all the maximum bang for the buck. Needs a lot more work on that in terms of, and then that'll go well in the papers.
Well, I thought
We're
that's
not-
name is brilliant.
We're not
Just a tweet,
printing
just a
it
tweet.
as a separate leaflet to insert. It will be part of the...
Yeah, I just want to make sure that wasn't the finished.
No, that's just the draft for
That's a sneak preview, Tim.
All right, thank you.
Chaz?
Yeah, the idea is actually pretty solid when you think about it, because it circles back around what we were discussing earlier about the concerns of the parishioners having that visibility in terms of what we're spending versus what they're paying. So I mean, if you can get this to 11,000 people, I think that would actually help to quell concerns. People are like, oh, you're charging us all this extra, well now you can see what it is. So yeah, a lot of positivity there.
Okay, so it's resolved to agree to spend on leaflets to be inserted in the newspaper.
It's amended.
Yeah. Okay, so we need to amend the agenda item first of all, to remove the word leaflet and put advertisement.
Can we go full colour? Glossy, because it's not expensive. If you don't know, 11,000 of them, it's going to not be expensive item.
Yeah, we have that was the colour, and it's the paper will reproduce it, so.
Well, I mean, if full colour printing on them, that's going to be well. £200 to do it, 11,000 maybe, two or three.
No,
No.
we're not paying to print leaflets.
Put
We're
an advert
paying
in
to
the
place
paper.
an advert in the paper.
Oh, I thought
So
you
it'll
were
be
going
part of the newspaper.
I thought he was going to do 11,000 leaflets in the newspapers.
No, because that's significantly more expensive.
Right, okay, yeah.
It wouldn't be worth the value, but you can get it out to the same number of people by placing the advert in.
And that's why you're changing the agenda item there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
be changing it to not say,
It does state that, but you're changing it.
Yeah.
Yes.
okay, so the first bit that we need to deal with is to amend agenda item 2022/3112B to resolve to agree the spend on leaflets. Leaflets is to be replaced with advert to be inserted into the newspapers. Do you have a proposal? Yeah. Seconder, Charles, all those in favour? Okay, so the item now will read to resolve to agree the spend on advert to be inserted in the newspaper. Do we have first of all, do we have a spend price?
For one newspaper for a quarter page advert, it's approximately £90. All of the quotes were in the drive with various different options.
Yeah,
But I believe a quarter page would be approximately right.
which is better than printing 2,000 or 4,000. Okay, so that's the spend, and we're here to agree. So do we have a proposer? Mark, seconder, Chaz, all those in favour? Okay, your item's agreed. And C is to resolve to agree to purchase a CCTV signage. There's some examples in the drive.
It's a very cheap option, these signs. We have to have them legally. The more we put around cars to park, the better, because it will cut down on antisocial behaviour.
Okay, so do we have a proposer? Chaz, Tim, second, all those in favour? Okay, item's agreed. 2022/3/113 is the events committee, and A is to receive the report from the chair of the committee, which is appendix 3. Isabel.
Right, not much to say tonight. The Christmas fair went extremely well with the town busy all day. We've had some very positive comments from the public and traders, and also a few negatives, which we will discuss in detail at our next meeting, which we've already done. We hope to arrange a meeting for any interested parties in the new year to start the planning for next year's event. It's been a very busy year for the committee, and we're looking forward to next year's events, which we hope to grow and improve. If anyone is interested in helping out at these events, or have any other ideas for new events, please get in touch. Hello.
Thank you, Isabel. Thoroughly enjoyed myself on looking after the reindeer.
Sorry, at the beginning you said we could propose items for the agenda, and I may be completely misunderstanding the rules, but I'd actually like to join that committee if I can propose that.
Okay, so what we'll do is we'll see what space is on there, and when the next agenda comes out, it'll be like you've seen tonight where it says 8 members. So if you've got space on there, you'll see that, and then you can nominate yourself. Any agenda items that you require, you speak to Jan about.
Okay.
But we'll take you through that as you learn anything. Not a problem. Okay, right, so 2022/3/114 is committee structure, and A is to resolve to agree to amend the committees by merging PR into events and IT into finance. Sophie, again.
It was brought up at our last PR and IT meeting. A lot of ideas between PR and events overlap. A lot of our PR is promoting the events. They achieve the same goals. They're trying to engage the community, promote the town, etc. So it would make sense that they're combined together. And again, IT and finance, that if people notice, there's a section of the budget called administration that doesn't yet have a home within a committee. I believe that the appropriate home would be with finance, and then including IT, so phone, broadband, email systems within that. It seems to be a bit of a neater setup. I think it worked better.
plausible explanation there. So to resolve to agree to amend the committees by merging. Do we have a proposer? Tim, a seconder? Clive, thank you. All those in favour? Okay, consider them merged. B is to resolve to agree to amend the terms of reference for the events and finance.
Yeah, so again, that is just kind of rubber stamping. The terms of reference for each committee detail what they should be doing, their delegated powers, etc. So aspects from PR have been put into events, and the aspects regarding IT have been placed into finance.
Yeah. The two documents were in the drive, very straightforward. Proposer? Rick, seconder, Clive, all those in favour? Okay. Thank you very much. 2022/3-115 is confirmation of the date and the venue of the next parish council meeting. So A, the next meeting of the parish council will be on Monday the 16th of January 2023 at the Methodist Church here at Albert Walk, Hull Beach. Okay, so then we've got to resolve to agree to exclude the press and public bodies under the Administration of Meetings Act 1960 due to confidential nature of the business to be transacted for items 2022/3116, 117 and 118. Do we have a proposer to move those into closed session? Mark, or seconder, Sophie, all those in favour? Okay. Agreed. All done.